IPO alert! IPO alert! Something hot is about to hit the market soon, and as a KRM moneymaker, of course, you're the first to know. NCB Stratus Alternative Investments has launched TRIP, the Tourism Response Impact Portfolio. It's promising higher returns than traditional wealth products such as stocks and bonds, but will it deliver? I'm Kalila Reynolds. Let's find out more from Chief Operating Officer at NCB Capital Markets, Tracy-Ann Spence. Hi, Tracy-Ann. How are you?
Hi, Kalila. I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. Who came up with the name TRIP? Because it's the perfect name for this type of fun. It gives you that tourism sensibility.
It is. So our team internally, we came together, we huddled when we were when we came up with the fund and what the fund was about. And we were thinking of different names. Then TRIP came to mind. Of course, it stands for Tourism Response Impact Portfolio. And we thought it was perfect because it's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to respond to the needs of the tourism industry and, of course, make an impact, not just on the industry, but on Jamaica as well. So we said this is the perfect name, and we think it will resonate well with the industry. We hope so. You seem excited, so.
Well, I want you to tell me exactly how it works.
Sure. So I believe sometime in the latter part of last year, you would have done an interview with a colleague of mine, Simone, regarding our alternative investment platform, Stratus.
Right.
So TRIP is actually the fourth fund that we are launching in that suite of funds. So Stratus stands on three pillars. So access, diversification, strong governance. So of course, when we're looking at the diversification aspect and what new fund to come up with, we took a look at what was happening in the market. We know that tourism is very, very relevant to Jamaica, to the Caribbean on a whole. And so we said, we should do something to help the sector. And so the fund is another, as I mentioned, in the suite of alternative investment funds. And what it does is that it will provide financing in various forms to industry stakeholders. So we're looking to assist them with retooling the business, especially given the impact that COVID would have had. And then, of course, TRIP is here to stay. So we're not just looking alone to resuscitate the industry, but we want to maintain and sustain, right, as it relates to a vibrant tourism sector, employment within the sector. So of course, when the market rebounds, we know that there will be new developments coming on board, etc. And so the fund will also be looking to provide funding for that. The funding that we'll be looking to provide will be more tailor-made, so creative and bespoke financing solutions for industry players. And then on the investor side, it's also an opportunity for investors to play a part. So we are essentially that intermediary, allowing investors who may want to contribute to the sector, whilst at the same time earning some form of return that's commensurate with the risk that they'd be undertaking. So
Right. So
just like your
basically,
typical fund.
yeah, so basically you're that bridge between
Yes,
potential investors and these tourism businesses who need funds more than ever now.
correct.
So
Correct.
you're bridging that gap and getting the funds from the investors, giving it to who needs it. So at your launch and in your press release, it was said that this fund will enable investors to diversify their portfolios and earn higher returns than traditional wealth products such as stocks and bonds. So what types of returns would investors be able to expect?
Sure. So the target IRR for the fund is 10% per annum on US dollars. And so that, in terms of the pipeline that we look at and the deals that we'll be looking at in the future, would be north of 10%. So anything 10% and above would be what we'd be looking at for the fund. So investors can expect those type of returns. So even the current pipeline that we're looking at, we have IRRs ranging between 11 and 20%.
So how long has this fund been in place?
Sure. So the fund came about this year. So maybe about 2 months in terms of since we've seeded. seeded the fund, and we're now getting ready to go through the process to make it available to the public. So we do expect that we will have an IPO out in the next couple of months, of course, subject to regulatory approval. So we're just going through that process right now. But assuming we get the relevant approvals within the next couple of months, we hope to make it available to the public.
So this IPO would be for TRIP or for Stratus?
For TRIP.
Specifically for TRIP. Very
Yes.
interesting. So is this the launch an opportunity for people to get in pre-IPO?
So the launch is really an opportunity just to bring awareness to the fund, starting to sensitize the market about what it's about, what Stratus is about, and of course, more specifically, what the TRIP portfolio is about.
I see. So is there a particular amount that is being sought for raise? And I know I didn't realize that it was an IPO that is being targeted, but is there an amount that you're looking at?
So
There's some
yes,
disclosure issues.
right. So yes, there is an amount. The what I will say it's be a main market issue, but I don't want to speak to volumes just yet, Kalila, because we're going through, as I mentioned, the regulatory process. But it will
Right.
definitely be a main market size issue.
Okay, right. So I know that there are all these disclosure issues when you're dealing with IPOs. So that kind of puts an entirely different spin on this conversation. But looking at, the hit that tourism has taken during this pandemic, you're saying you expect returns of 10 to 20%. What makes you confident that TRIP would be able to deliver those types of returns, given
So
the space that we're in now?
understood. So a number of things. So as I mentioned, we do have an active pipeline that we're looking at right now, and that pipeline is priced. So we have relevant and live pricing of assets. Also, because of what's been happening in the industry, it is actually an opportune time to get in at current prices for these assets. And then once the market recovers, then pricing would improve. So we think now is the appropriate time to get in. And based on what we're seeing, because we have seeded the fund is seeded. So it's already generating returns in line with our IRR. And then the assets that we are looking at doing the due diligence for the fund now are also in line with the IRR. So we have live deals.
Well, what types of assets are we looking at? What types of tourism products will Trip be investing in? Are you looking at mainly hotels, or you want attractions or services to this sector?
So it's right across the tourism industry. So it's not limited to hotels, it's tourism and tourism related. So attractions, hotels, businesses that may rely heavily on tourism. So a big portion of their income is tourism related. We would take a look at that as well. So across the spectrum within the industry, and of course across the spectrum as it relates to the capital structure. So the investments may be in the form of debt, maybe in the form of equity or quasi-debt, quasi-equity.
I see. So you're looking at what size? Small, medium, large established players?
So a combination, because we do know that especially the small to medium-sized players would probably likely have a demand as well because the industry was hit across the board. So in terms of what we're looking at right now, it ranges. The pipeline is mainly on the medium to larger side, but we do have some smaller industry players that we've begun discussions with.
Right. So I'm watching this right now. I'm a fictional person in YouTube land watching. And I started watching this program because I'm like, I like, investing and stuff. But I realize as you speak, Tracy-Ann, that hold on, I have a tourism business and we could certainly use some investment right now. Can tourism businesses apply to NCB Stratus right now? How does it work?
Sure. So they can give us a call at 960-7108 or email us at ncbcapinfo, that's ncbcapinfo at jncb.com. So we've actually already started receiving interest since launching. So yes, so especially because we're right now building the asset side in terms of the deal pipeline, just feel free to email us or give us a call, and then we'll start the conversations in terms of the next steps.
Do you have a specific number of businesses you're looking to start with for the investments?
So right now, in terms of what we're looking at, maybe an average of 10 businesses we're looking at right now in terms of the active pipeline. Of course, depending on the volume raised, when we do actually come out with an offer for funding, then we may look at more.
And you said for the businesses that you do invest in, it would be a mix of debt and equity?
Yes, correct.
In what mix, what ratio?
So we do the fund does have an investment policy, and of course all of that information once we reach to prospectus stage and release will be there. It will be primarily debt, quasi debt, and so majority debt, quasi debt, and then less so equity. So I don't want to give you the actual asset allocation mix just yet.
Right. So how will this fund be managed?
So NCB Capital Markets Limited is the investment manager for the Stratus suite of funds, and so TRIP will be managed by NCB Capital Markets.
All right. So, like you had said, this is mainly to bring awareness, because my next questions were, how can people invest, and there's a minimum requirement and so on. But for that, we'd have to wait for the IPO, right?
Yes. But as I said, we're going through the process, but look out. So that's why we also wanted to just bring awareness that we have this new fund. We think it's timely. We think it's very important for Jamaica and the industry. And reach out to us, any businesses that are looking for financing. And as it relates to investors, just stay put, keep in touch with our various platforms, and you'll see what's next.
Well, thank you very much, Tracy-Ann. Exciting things ahead. We'll definitely keep our eyes and ears peeled for more information about TRIP and the upcoming IPO.
Yes, and you'll definitely get it in the What's Hot, Kalila.
For sure.
Yes.
All right, good. Thanks, Tracy.
All right, take care. Have a great day.
You too. So you heard it here first. Look out for the TRIP IPO in the coming months. Of course, I'll have all the updates on my programs and my newsletter, so make sure you subscribe at KalilaReynolds.com/newsletter. Let's get this money.